Hi, and welcome to this episode of Victory Talk with Latasha White. I don't know about y'all, but I cannot believe that we are smack dab in the middle of the holiday season. It is so crazy. It seems like, this whole fourth quarter of the year has just kind of skipped by. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the middle of December. But oh my goodness, I know that no matter what holidays you celebrate, that likely the traditions in how you've celebrated have had to shift this year. And so what I want to talk to you guys about is a topic that I talked to one of my girlfriends about. She's one of my trusted listeners, Sarah Harsh. And we were having a conversation about Christmas traditions and, how things look for families and things. And what I really want to bring to you guys is, the holiday hiccups, the hiccups of not being able to do things how you've always done it, the hiccups of the communication barriers that we found ourselves in, the hiccups of how do we do this? Do we still do this? Do we shift how we do it, or do we just forget it all? What are the hiccups that you're coming up against? There's likely some hiccups that you're coming up against. And so it doesn't mean that you can't do, it just means that you have to do differently. And in the doing differently, it takes so much more communication than what it ever did. I mean, the things that you used to have to consider is who's going to bring what time are we gathering, and whose house are we going to gather at. That's really what you had to consider, in a nutshell. And now it's not the whose house are we going to gather at. It's the, are we going to get together on Zoom? Are we going to get together in smaller little silos of gatherings? Are we going to just say, each household do their own thing and, see you next year? What does that look like? It's going to be different for every single family for sure. But what I know is that if communication does not happen around it, if communication is not effective when it goes forth, then that can land in some hurt feelings, in some, it's just really boils down to miscommunication of how the other person will receive what it is that you're giving. And so being able to say, like, maybe one family member is comfortable getting together for the holiday, and maybe another one isn't, and maybe one knows that I have a compromised health situation, and while that's not in the awareness of the other one, you still have to communicate that effectively. It's not that I don't want to come around, it's that I can't come around safely. And so what does that conversation look like? Those are things that you have to think about like now, because it's time to gather in within the next 2 and 3 weeks. There's going to be several holidays that are going to be happening depending on how you celebrate. And you're going to have to figure out what that looks like for your family so that you stay healthy mentally, spiritually, emotionally as you go through the holiday season. So what I want to bring to you is that it is okay to have to shift what the traditions look like. It's okay to have to do things a little bit differently. But it's not okay to not communicate it. It's not okay to just say, we're going to do what we're going to do and then not talk about it, because then on the other side of that, the other family members are like, why are they being so standoffish? Why are they not wanting to come around? It's not that you don't want to. It's just that you can't, or that you don't feel like you can safely. And that is for every person to have to consider for themselves. You can't do what somebody else wants you to do all the time, because they're not going to be the ones to have to deal with the outcome of that. That's the blunt way to put it, I know. But as you guys know, I don't sugarcoat a whole lot of things. It kind of is what it is. And, we have to really understand each other and take a step back and say, where are they coming from with that, instead of wearing our feelings on our sleeves and thinking that everybody else has to think like we think. Try to understand why they're thinking how they're thinking. Sometimes it has to be about somebody else other than ourselves. And so what I want to just leave you guys with is the holiday hiccups, and what does it look like for your family, and how can you still come out healthy inside and out on the other side of that. So thank you again, Sarah, for the conversation. And thank you all again for listening to Victory Talk this week. I know that it really set, with me to think through, like, what does that look like? Am I being selfish and wanting to still get together even though maybe we shouldn't? Am I, considering all of the people and all of the things, and, who are we leaving out if we decide to have a smaller gathering? Who are we including if we do have that smaller gathering? And, so I'm saying I am definitely not exempt, but I'm bringing to your awareness that those are conversations that need to happen for effective communication so that things don't fall apart on the other side of it, because we are looking to 2021 to be different because of the lessons that we learned in 2020, right? So I thank you guys, and I appreciate you again for tuning in to Victory Talk with Latasha White, and I will see you next week. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic week on purpose, because you made it so.